One of the saddest things to go through is witnessing someone you love and care about make horrible decisions for themselves. You've had the talks with them, you've heard them complain, you've heard them express how they know this is a toxic situation, and then it's like they know that everyone around them, like their friends and family that they really care about and look up to, don't like the situation that they're going through, so then they decide to just retract and say that everything is fine. And you want to be there for them, but at this point you can't help them anymore and get them out of this situation. Because no matter how many times they tell you they hate what they're in, or you give advice or whatever, they just stay in denial. And you just gotta let it play out.
Hello everyone, this is Emmanuel Cook. We will be reacting to a new video today, so make sure you guys like, comment, and subscribe down below, and let's get into the video.
Knowingly having kids when you live in poverty, knowing that they will also be impoverished, is a form of abuse. When did we all become so afraid of being politically correct that we can't admit when things are right in our face? Yes, in the United States, we hate poor people. It's so much more expensive to be poor in this country. It's also very expensive to be single without kids in this country. But saying someone hates poor people because someone decides to have 6 kids in a 1-bedroom home so much that they have to sleep in the kitchen, that's not hating poor people. That's looking at the facts. It's abusive. My best friend grew up impoverished, poor, in the middle of Michigan. And we have this conversation all the time. She is so triggered from her past of being poor. I have to convince her to do small things. I have to convince her to spend money on like a new tire. I have to convince her to spend money on herself. One time she called me because she was going on a trip and she needed something. I can't remember what it was, but it was only $20. And she's like, I can't spend that money. Mind you, my best friend has worked consistently for 10 years. She is a top director at her job. She makes a good, consistent income and she has no overhead. She doesn't have kids and she's not married. But the trauma of being poor makes her second guess everything she buys because she is afraid of being poor again. She talks about how they didn't have money in the house and they didn't know where the food was going to come from, and the stress of living with that, with seeing her mother struggle and then therefore it trickling down on her till this day causes her anxiety. Like, she just texted me to say, oh, I booked a trip to Florida and I didn't even think about it and I'm going to stay there. And I was like, good for you. And when I tell you that's something she didn't have during her childhood, she's literally healing her inner child. We are nothing but children cosplaying as adults. Everything we do in our adulthood goes back to our childhood. So knowingly bringing a child into that kind of environment means you're not even thinking about them as a kid, but you're not even thinking about them in the future as an adult. I'm going to go more in depth in this on my YouTube page, but let's all just face the facts. It is a form of abuse to bring a child knowingly into poverty just because you wanted children.
So at this point, she was borrowing anywhere between $40 and $100 a week from me, and she came to me and she said, hey, I think you should start paying utilities. And I had lived with her for about a year, and I was like, okay, that kind of makes sense. So I could pay half of the utilities to help out. And then about a month after I started paying half the utilities, she comes to me and she's like, hey, I really think you should start paying rent. And I kind of thought about it, and I didn't really love the idea, but I was like, it does put people out when you're living in their house, and they're not expecting you, especially means I had been moved out for 10 plus years since I became an adult. And so I agreed to start paying her rent. So I was paying her $300 in rent, plus about $200 in utilities. Granted, she doesn't have a mortgage on this house. It was paid for. And then, on top of that, she was still asking me to borrow like $40 or $50 a week. And I said, no. I said, I'm literally giving you $400. You're not having to pay all of your utilities. That didn't go up that much. And you don't have a mortgage payment. So the money I give you for rent and utilities should cover your activities, but they weren't.
Story time on how I found out that my mother stole my identity and ruined my credit. Spoiler alert, we are now awaiting trial. So, I lived with my aunt and my uncle from the time I was like 12 or 13 until 18 years old because my mother is horrible. Story time for another time. Anyways, so when I turned 18, it was time to skiddly daddle, get my own phone plan, move out, all that stuff. So, when I did that, I went to the AT&T store to get my phone on my own plan, and they could not verify my identity. It's bizarre, but I didn't feel like sitting there for hours and hours and hours while we tried to figure out what was going on. So we just got my phone put on my roommate's plan, and that was it. Fast forward, I met my husband. It was time for us to get an apartment and get our own phone plan and credit cards and all that. Well, none of those places could verify my identity either. So it was time to start looking into this. So I ran my credit, pulled up the credit report, and my credit score was a 412. 412. And it shouldn't have been anything because I didn't have anything in my name at that time. So I looked on my credit report and saw that there was a loan for over $1,000 taken out of my name over 6 months. This had been over 6 months ago. Was zero payments made. The minimum payment was $22 a month and zero had been made, so less than a tank of gas. So I called the bank that the loan was taken out of, and I was like, what is this about? I did not take this loan out. What was this used for? Yada yada. This loan was used to purchase an Xbox and accessories and all that. Well, my mother has 3 boys. And she's the only person other than myself that would know my social security number and my information like that. She's always known my social. So I texted her and I was like, oh my gosh, somebody took out a loan in my name. I've got to figure this out. I can't get anything put in my name, you know? Like, I didn't say it was her. And she blocked me. So that right there told me everything I needed to know, but I obviously needed hardcore proof. So I was on the phone with this customer service agent from the bank, and I said, if I give you this address and email, can you verify that this is where it was sent to? So I gave them her address, which I have never lived at, and they confirmed that is where this Xbox was sent. So I reached out to her on Facebook or something and was like, I'm going to give you until the end of the year to start making payments on this because I really don't want to have to, you know, press charges. So I gave her, this was August at the time that I reached out to her, and I gave her until December, and she did not. She blocked me. So I reached out to her husband again, was like, hey, I'm going to give you until the end of the year to figure this out. Still no payments were made, and I was blocked by him. So I had to press charges. I went to the police station, filed a police report. She was arrested in Ohio, which is where she lives. She was in that jail for 30 days and then expedited here, Alabama. And then she made bail. She pled not guilty, requested to go to trial. This is 2 years ago. It's been 2 years since this happened, or a little over 2 years. Anyways, so a couple months ago, I get a call from the district attorney saying that my mother has applied for the deferred program, which is basically like probation, and if you finish it, then it gets off of your record. I said, no ma'am. No ma'am. So she was denied, and jury selection is May 13th, and then the trial begins that week as well. So if you guys would like updates on the case, then leave a comment, and I will try to post after the trial and when we get answers. So that is the story time. I forgot to add the best part. So she called me when she got arrested. She called me from jail. How could you do this to me? I'm your mother. I can't believe you would do this. Please drop the charges, yada, yada, yada. When I said, I can't drop the charges, it is now the state versus you, she's like, I hate you, and hung up the phone. I'm sorry, but I think you got things backwards, Jessica, because how could you do this to me? I am your daughter. And I tried to get you to make things right, and you wouldn't. See you in court.
If you are living in poverty, on the struggle bus, trucking it on that choo-choo struggle train every day, don't have kids. Don't have kids, okay? Because they're probably going to end up in prison, and I can say that because I was there, and I saw what happens and who's there. Why on God's earth would you willingly bring a child into misery just to ride the struggle bus with you? Like, that is crazy to me. Y'all are selfish as hell. I saw it in prison. I saw the results of couples and women in poverty going out there and popping out all these kiddos. And I saw your kiddos in prison because I was in there with them. And when we got out, I was able to make a life for myself as to where they went back to prison. And it's because you decided to have them and give them shit for a chance. It's very likely that if you grew up in poverty, your parents grew up in poverty as well and had you in poverty. And it's just a generational ass curse that's going to continue on and on and on until somebody's smart enough to break it. If you think that you having your child in poverty and saying, oh, well, but I'm going to love them and that's going to be enough, it's not, okay? Love does not equal opportunities. Love does not equal food on the table, a good education, and a good core friend group is going to influence the hell out of them. No, love does not do that. Love may give them a warm, safe, fuzzy feeling when they're in the house for the moments that they're around you. But all those other hours of the day, baby, the area you live in, the school they go to, their core group of friends, all that is going to determine and dictate and influence their decision making and their path. So if you want the trajectory of their life to be straight struggle bus, then keep on having children in poverty. Okay? I stand on what I said. Do better. So, again, if you're living in poverty, you should not be having children.
The weapons formed against me will not prosper. And I'm going to be very honest with you. I am dealing with a bitter baby mama that's mad that I moved on, that I want nothing to do with her besides my children. And in every instance, she has tried to stammer me up, to use anger against me. And you're trying to do it right now to get full control of kids that have I'm a father to a child that is 11 years old that is not my son, and I have been his father since 2 years old. I never miss weeks. They're praying boys, and now you want to try to trip me up in court and use some type of loophole to get the kid. This is why I tell people a man without self-control is like a city broken down without walls, because some of these people use the court system to try to hurt you when it's only going to hurt themselves. My God gonna get the glory. The whole city, the whole world know what type of father I am, baby girl. And some of you people, I'm not going to say male or female, but some of you people like to use the court system to try to hurt good people that are doing their best to be their best, because you're mad because you screwed your life up. You're mad because I wanted to get off the emotional roller coaster. You're mad because I chose me, and I chose not to deplete myself of your energy and drain myself of your negativity and drain myself of your pessimism and your lack of work ethic. You're mad because I moved on respectfully and chose me. And this is your assault. I know the plans I have for me are good, not disaster. Give me a future and a hope, baby girl. You're hurt. I know you watch every single one of my videos. You're hurt. And you want to punish me instead of going and looking deep in yourself. You're going to learn how my God is. That's it. That's the post.
Okay, so we all know what it's like to have people in our lives who make choices and decisions that make our lives hell. We do. Whether that is a parent, whether that is a loved one, a spouse, a sister, a brother, they make these crazy, wild-haired choices, or a good friend, or a best friend, or a colleague, or a co-worker, or supervisor. They make decisions, choices that have a direct impact on you and causes your life to be 1,000 times more complicated than it already is. If you are in the middle of a situation like that right now, there are a couple things that I want you to consider. Number one, I need you to forgive them. I need you to let it go. I need you to release the hostility so that you can move on with your own life. And number two, I need you to begin the process of establishing and communicating boundaries with that individual based on the decisions that they've made. You can do this.
So because my roommate decided to skip out on me, not pay his rent, not pay all the 3 months of utilities he owed me, and just fully leave secretly, I get to live alone. That's fantastic. I love living alone. Not fantastic, barely being able to eat because I can't afford to cover all of this rent. And, you know, a full-time job where I can't even, like, take the time to, like, sell my clothes on Facebook Marketplace or, like, take them to... We'll figure it out, right? Somehow. I'm a lucky girl.
Other people's actions can truly ruin you. 6 years ago, I had 2 roommates. One of them left without paying rent. And on the lease, it said that even if he left, we are still responsible for that lease for rent. Can you imagine? So we had to scrape by our small income from working at Walmart to pay his half of the rent. The stress those 2 months, oh my God. The stress of being screwed over and responsible for another person's responsibilities, pretty much. The other third of the rent was missing. We had to come up with the money. I have no idea how we survived. And then we got 2 more roommates, a couple. And then 1 month before the lease was over, guess what happened? They chose to bail too. We literally got into a fight with them over that. They still left. And guess what? We were still stuck with the lease. To this day, I've never had a roommate again. Never again. Once that lease was over, I was like, oh, hell no. It's either I stay at home or I live alone. There is no other way. There's no way that I will stay with an irresponsible roommate. Never again.
Part 2 of how my ex-husband unintentionally financially ruined me. So in the divorce, he's assigned any credit cards that are just his name, as well as these 2 cards that have both of our names. I'm assigned everything else. I had closed all of the credit cards back in February of last year. Due to COVID and a series of unfortunate events, every single one of our credit cards was maxed out, and we had about $35,000 worth of credit card debt. I was a full-time student, and the only work I was doing was selling my books. Most of our income was Josh's VA disability, but we were not making enough to cover everything, and certainly not the credit cards on top of it, so I got a job while I was still in school, and I was working 60 to 70 hours overnights while going to school during the day. So I wanted to make sure that we were not using those credit cards anymore. I locked all of them. And I was making more than the minimum payments on every single credit card from February all the way up until our divorce agreement in November. The first thing my ex-husband did when he was assigned these 2 credit cards was unlocked the credit cards. He said, if I'm paying them, then I should be allowed to use them if I need them. There was about $2,500 available between the 2 cards at this point. And he had pretty much maxed both of those out again within a month or 2. And I was pretty disappointed because I was like, that is my money that you were spending. Like, I worked hard to pay down these credit cards. But, you know, whatever, you do you. So after the divorce is finalized, he decides that he's going to try and get ahead of this debt that he is now solely responsible for, and he's going to do a debt consolidation loan. Great, that's a good option. Only it wasn't a debt consolidation loan. It was a debt settlement company. He starts paying money into an escrow, and this company is trying to negotiate on his behalf a settlement on all of his debt. But they don't pay either of the 2 cards that my name is attached to for 3 months. And this is what triggered my complete downfall.
The worst feeling as a single mom is doing everything in your capacity to raise your children by yourself, and either still being told that it's not enough, or you just feel like it's not enough. I get so overwhelmed, and sometimes I try to remind myself that I cannot do the job at home if I'm not at home. I feel like people look at me and see me raising my kids and just automatically expect me to be like 3 people. Like, my children literally do not have a father. They have a biological father. Yes, he's alive, but he is not present at all whatsoever. He does not help at all. He doesn't help with the decision making. He doesn't share the time. He doesn't share the pickups. He doesn't go to the doctor's appointments. He does nothing. I do it all by myself. And I also work a full-time job in a medical facility for a doctor. And I cannot tell you how hard it is to have to choose many days between a paycheck to put food on the table and to afford the things that my kids want and that they deserve, or to take the time off because a kid is sick or has to go to a doctor or needs to be here or needs to be there. I make so many sacrifices every day. I have to give up going and chaperoning my kids' field trips because I have to be at work to pay the bills. I don't get to stay home with my kids on digital learning days and help my kids educate themselves. When I'm not feeling good, I don't get to take the day off. And I have chronic illnesses, so when I get sick and I'm not able to just like lay down and recover, it takes me weeks, sometimes months to get better. And by the time I'm better, I'm sick again. I don't know, I guess sometimes I get tired of people looking at me like I'm this superwoman and like I got this and I'm expected to have it, and like I don't want to be superwoman. I'm tired. I hate the father of my kids. And not because I hate him because I'm bitter and like, oh no, I hate him because he sucks as a dad. He has boys and he's missing out on their lives and he's not there for them. He doesn't have to do what I have to do every day or every other day or every other weekend. He doesn't have to do it at all. And it makes me resentful, and yeah, I hate him. I'm bitching and complaining, but I'm still going to get up and do what I do every day for my kids, for myself. But just hoping that one day, like, I catch a break. Because I've been doing this for, like, 18 years and I'm tired. Happy Thursday.
A quick reminder, please remember to like, comment, and subscribe down below. And let's continue the video.
I'm gonna need y'all to do me a favor, right? When people say they don't want to have kids, leave them alone. Respect their decision, because this ain't for everybody. Everybody can't do this. Like, it takes a certain level of mental superpower to deal with these kids. Not only just kids, because some people say, oh, I only want one kid, and then you'll have the people that, oh, no, you got to have more than one. Nah, if they say they only want one kid, let them have only one. Maybe, you don't know. Maybe they know that that's all they could handle. Okay? I was in my room. I was cleaning, starting to pack stuff. And my 3-year-old supposed to be in his room with his siblings. Now, he comes in my room, greasy as all hell. I'm talking about his shirt is off. He greasy. Like, in my mind at first, I'm thinking he got into one of the body butters. So I'm like, yo, why you so shiny? And he's saying something about a bottle, but I'm not really paying attention to what he's saying. So I'm smelling him to see if, it's one of the body butters. Didn't recognize the smell. So I walked to the kitchen because I'm like, yo, this is giving me cooking oil vibes. I walked to the kitchen and I have one of them spray bottles that, you pour the oil in it and you can spray the oil instead of buying, cooking spray, whatever. The bottle is missing. So I'm looking around. I go to the living room. I see the bottle on the floor. And the first thing I see is oil on the floor. Then I notice big oil stains on the couch, bro. A fabric couch, bro. Like, what I'm supposed to do with that? Now, surprisingly, I went to the doctor today and they took my my blood pressure, and she's just like, oh, you have perfect blood pressure. I'm like, really? Mind you, anytime I go to the doctor or anything and they tell me my blood pressure is good, or, oh yeah, you good, I be surprised, because it's like, yo, I got 5 kids at home. How? Because these people, no limit soldiers, as they say, from the time they get up, and my kids get up early. My kids get up at like 6:30 in the morning. And I'm with them all day. Homeschooling, running errands, doing field trip, teaching, everything. Everything. Okay? Trying to run a business, trying to be a wife, trying to be me. You see what I'm saying? And I know this rant is getting longer than what I expected. But, bro, when people say they don't want kids, leave them alone. Don't judge them. Don't make them feel bad. Because, yes, kids are a blessing. But let's keep it a buck. Not everybody could deal with it. And I would feel like my kids are good. My kids are good kids. My kids are good kids. They're humble. They do what kids do. Like, I mean, they're homeschooled. So, yeah, they get rowdy because, they have the freedom to express themselves all day. All day. They're not confined to, a classroom or just one specific environment and expected to act one specific way. Like, they have the opportunity for their personality and their character to really just shine through. And let me tell you, it be shining. It be shining. But I just wanted to say that because, yo, this boy spraying the cooking oil all over the couch, yo. So now I got to Google some stuff and see how to get rid of that. Because as I said, it's a fabric couch. He was all shiny. He came in looking like a dang, I don't even know. But he was all shiny, and I knew immediately he done got into some stuff. And that's the 3-year-old. That's not even the baby. Now the baby, the 2-year-old. Don't get me started on him. I'm gonna have to make a whole other video. But yeah, y'all, peace out on that. Let people live, and do their life how they want to do it, because kids is not for everybody. 2 kids is not for everybody. Multiple kids is not for everybody. So, let's just respect people and their boundaries and don't be, all up in it.
Poverty is so fucking violent, and it's like such a silent killer because I feel like nobody gives it the credit it's due. How do you build a positive self-concept if you've never given a chance to understand yourself and learn yourself and explore yourself? You can't even build identity because you worried about bills.
My mom took a $2,500 check from me and still allowed me to go to the mailbox every single day to look for this check. So when I was about 15 years old, I got into a car crash with my cousins. I was at my uncle's house. And long story short, every day for about 2 months, I'm walking to the mailbox looking for this check. I don't see anything. I asked my mom, does she see the check? She tells me no. So boom, one day she comes home from a full shopping spree. And while it kind of sort of crosses my mind, I kind of put it to the back of my mind like, nah, not my mom. So some time passes, and at this point, I'm worried because school is about to start, and I need this money to get the things that I need for school. So I called my uncle because it's his insurance company dealing with it. And he's like, you should have been received that check because everybody else got theirs. So he calls to see what's going on, and they tell him that the check was already cashed. So he tells me, like, hey, look, your mom cashed that check already. So you need to talk to her. So I go to her and I asked her, has she seen the check? She doubles down. I haven't seen the check at this point. Now she's annoyed. And so eventually I just let it go. But long story short, to this day, my mom thinks that I don't know that she took my check, but I know for a fact that she did because she's the only person that was authorized to do so. And that was the first time my mom stole from me. It wasn't the last, but it was the first time that I realized my mom was capable of doing things like that to me. Yeah.
So I was sitting at 48th and Lancaster in West Philly, if you know where that is, I'm at a red light. No less than 4 cars looked at the red light, said, screw it, I don't care. F these laws. Just went through the red, almost hit oncoming traffic. Like, imagine caring so little about your surroundings that you're just like, I am late. Philly is hilarious. I love Philly. Don't get me wrong. But Philly and drivers will literally be at a red light and they're just like, you know what? No. Gonna choose no today. I find it amazing, but like not in the cool way. Wow.
No one in this world is going to disappoint you more than your own family. A young man spends 10 years here in the U.S. trying to save money for a house and send all his money to his father in Honduras. After 10 years, he decides to go back to Honduras and surprise his father with a visit. And then he gets there and he starts asking questions about where the money is, where's the property that he has built. Turns out his father has spent all the money and has built nothing with it. When the son questions the father gets very aggressive and grabs a machete. And after arguing about the money, the father attacks his own son, cutting one of his arms and leaving him for dead. The son is hospitalized and clinging to life. Alejandrino Sanchez Diaz is only 39 years old and is clinging to life at a hospital in Honduras. Well, I wish I was telling you something that rarely happens. This unfortunately happens all the time, where immigrants send money back home thinking that a loved one, a family member, is putting that money in a safe place or investing it in building properties, but instead the money is being mishandled and misappropriated. And the long years of sacrifice, long hours, working holidays for a lot of these immigrants comes to an end. And it came to a tragic end for this young man. We went through the same thing. My mother used to send money to my dad in order for him to put my brothers through college. And the money was just being misspent on all the women he took out to restaurants and hotels. And he would still be doing the same thing, except my mother petitioned for my brothers to come to the U.S. But I never forgave my dad for doing that.
So I have some family in Liberia, right? A lot of them don't have jobs. Almost all of them don't have jobs now, right? And for years, we have been financially supporting them for years. And now, a lot of them think that we owe them something. That just because we're in the States, that we make US dollars, that we are related to them, that they think that we have to help them, that we are obligated to. Even though we have given them many chances. How many chances? we have given them to create a life for themselves. A lot of the time, they misuse the money, lie about it, and expect you to continue to help them. Create all kinds of stories. One of my relatives from Liberia asked us to contribute to his wedding. The first thing that came to my mind is, why are you marrying and you're broke? If you need help now, how would that marriage be, really? How would it be? Do you want us here in the States to sponsor you and your wife and your children? Do you want someone else to sponsor your life? And if we say no, you get mad and you say all kinds of stuff. I know that I am not alone in this, that a lot of other people who have family members abroad can relate to this. This happens all the time. This is nothing new. This happens literally all the time. And if you are not careful, these people will be stressing you out. Your life will halt because of them if you're not careful.
All right, story time. So I have an apartment in Massachusetts. It's $3,600 a month. And I have a roommate who basically has been tossing me whatever she can afford every month. And to make it better, she convinced me to let this young couple stay with us as well. And while staying with us, the young couple decided that it was a good idea, while they're like couch surfing, to get pregnant. And while all of this was going on, I finally had enough of being tossed crumbs and paying for everybody's food and paying for everybody's household goods and everything else, and told them, hey, I'm moving out. I'm moving in with my boyfriend. I'm going to go from paying $3,600 a month to paying $600 a month. And they're like, well, by the way, we're pregnant, so, you're going to be throwing out a pregnant couple. And, my roommate's like, but you're screwing me over, and you're doing all this horrible stuff to this pregnant couple, and how could you do this? And I'm looking at him and I'm like, how could you do this to the person that's paying $3,600 a month to feed you and house you? And not only that, but I'm paying the electric bill, and I'm paying the gas bill, and I'm paying the food bill, and I'm paying all this other stuff. So now they're all mad at me because I'm refusing to still be their sugar mama, but it's somehow my fault for not wanting to still pay for them. Can you explain this to me?
Hey Dad, we ran out of milk for the cereal. Use water. Ew. But we also ran out of trash bags. This is why we go grocery shopping. Use a plastic bag. Okay. But we also ran out of food. We have plenty of noodles right here. But I'm cold. Then use your 5-year-old hand-me-downs. It's 10 years old. And we also ran out of toilet paper. Notebook paper is not just for writing. That's what homeless people use. We don't have enough laundry detergent for a load. Use the sink. Ew. We ran out of toothpaste. Get some baking soda, put it on your finger, and rub it all around your teeth. Why do I have to do this? I'm tired of being poor, man. Oh, thanks for reminding me. I need to play the lottery. Are you serious?
I appreciate you guys watching the video today. Please make sure to like, comment, and subscribe down below, and I'll see you guys in the next video.